Welcome to the Stories That Sparkle podcast. I'm Hella Rader, and in today's episode, I sit down with Stephanie. Even though we've known each other, technically speaking, sort of, kinda, this is the first time we actually sat down together and really got to know each other. And boy, was it fun. We talk about a whole bunch of things, but the most important thing we talk about is Stephanie's journey through 2 years of sleeplessness and how she came out the other side of that and what lessons she learned from that. So yeah, it's a doozy. And it's the second conversation I have in Nashville, again, as part of the Discoball Tour around the United States. So I invite you to get comfortable, sit back, and listen in. I'm Hella Rader. With a good sense of humor, an open heart, and an open mind, I love to explore the very human complexities in others and in myself. That's why I created a space for women you have never heard of and could easily pass on the street to share in their own voices the intricacies of starting over in life, building community, inhabiting their bodies, and more. Welcome to our Disco Ball, the stories that sparkle. Okay. Hi, Stephanie. Hey, y'all. I'm here at Stephanie's house. And this is what I would qualify. I called it a sunroom. She calls it a tree house.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of windows, so
yeah,
it could be a sunroom.
Yeah. So there's a lot of windows here, and there's a tree right behind where I'm sitting. I'm sitting in this most luxuriously, it's like... Can I just take a nap now? Because,
You're welcome to.
it's very comfortable. I feel it's very lovely here. Thank you thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, a pleasure. It's fun to see you.
It's you too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Yay! Did we see each other in June?
I saw you at Carrie's wedding.
That's the wedding. That's right. Right.
Which was like
a blur of wonderfulness.
Such a beautiful, beautiful night.
Yeah.
Yeah, emotional.
Yes.
It was just a beautiful night.
Yeah. Well, so we're here. I'm still in Nashville, y'all. And I say y'all all the time, by the way, not just because I'm in Nashville.
I've adopted that since I moved here.
Really?
Like, I get to say that now. We're all y'all.
Right.
Oh,
all y'all. Well, it's funny because my parents were German, so I didn't speak English. It was not my first language.
Sure.
And my neighbor who taught me English, she was from Tennessee. And so she taught, bless her heart. So she taught me English with a Southern drawl.
I love that.
And saying y'all. So as a little,
How lucky.
As a 2-3-year-old, I was like, hey, y'all. And people were like, what is going on with this kid? Like, I don't understand how that happened.
In Germany?
Yeah. Like, they were like, we don't understand what this is about. It's so weird.
That's adorable.
So I've always said y'all. It's like a whole thing.
That's funny.
So, well, we've been talking about a lot of different things already.
Yeah.
It's been a delight.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not from Nashville.
No.
How did you get to Nashville? Or when did you get to Nashville?
So I got to Nashville, I guess we were talking 2019. So that was, 7 years ago. We came from Brooklyn, where I was living with my husband at the time and my baby. And my husband had been here on and off throughout the years for music. He's a songwriter. And so, once I got pregnant with my second child, we were kind of bursting at the seams in our 5th floor walk-up apartment in Brooklyn. And, we had a house in Connecticut that we kind of bought as a weekender. It flooded, a pipe burst and flooded over Christmas. And so it became this huge disaster that once we started peeling back the walls of that house, we realized that all the wiring, all the electric, all the plumbing was totally shit. And so we were obligated to fix it. And so then we sued it was just a fucking mess.
Oh,
and
God.
so we were kind of ready to just wash our hair of that whole experience. And we talked about, Roland had held on to this little house that he bought here 25 years ago. And we thought, well, we could sell it and, get something else. And I was like, what if we just moved there? he's got a great community of friends that are, you know, like family here. And so we took the leap, came down here, and
Did you already have friends here?
no.
Wow. So what was that like for you? Like, he has a community of friends.
Yeah.
You're coming in like, I don't, and I have a baby and a second
Yes.
baby.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. It was extremely isolating and terrifying, honestly. I really
Right.
didn't realize that because you can't anticipate the state of your nervous system when you're pre-baby about what it's going to be like post-baby. You just can't even fathom what that's going to be like. And yeah, you're a completely different person. And, you know, we moved here in 2019. I had my son in August of 2019. And so by the time the pandemic really set in, I think he was about, you know, 6 months-ish. And my daughter was 2.5. And so, you know, here I am in a city where I don't know anyone. So I had really jumped headfirst into motherhood, and without really having any experience, any tools, any resources at all, I was alone, completely alone. And I had kind of left my career and also found an incredible therapist who helped me really unpack my childhood for the first time. So it was like I was doing that.
wow.
COVID was happening. So there was no option for a babysitter at all, you know. So full-time with 2 kids. I had just left my career, which I really, you know, I really loved. And it kind of took like a toxic turn at the end in my last job. And I just found myself completely untethered and completely alone. And it was so incredibly dark and lonely.
Wow. Yeah.
Just the dark night of the soul completely, you know.
That's really, so in a very different way for different reasons. I was in a dark night of the soul in 2020.
Hey.
Taking,
What happened?
taking notes.
That one thing happened.
Well, there's the COVID
yeah,
and the divorce.
sure.
And now suddenly I'm alone at home with my dog.
Quiet.
It's like, yeah, there's no escaping the thoughts and the feels
Exactly.
and the grief.
Right.
And yeah, didn't anticipate having to grieve the loss of myself.
Yeah, past version of you.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
and the decisions I had made and
Yeah.
the situations I had put myself into and stayed in.
Yeah.
But I mean, so very differently dissimilar. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that, you know, that time was so transformational for everyone in some way or another, whether that was, you know, ultimately ended up being a good thing or maybe not, or maybe it didn't seem like it was great at the beginning. But you know, I really think that that's life. You know, like life presents you with challenges, but they're only challenging to you uniquely because they trigger you in some way to, you know, dig deeper and find the little nuggets of pain. You know, why does something trigger me and it doesn't trigger you? Well, it's because I've got this story and it's developed this belief about myself. And so that's why I feel so defensive when anyone says anything about, you know, how smart I am or whatever, as an example. It's
Yeah.
like, I think we're faced with these challenges in order to move through them. And then once we get on the other side, there's clarity in some way. And it usually isn't what you wanted or what you expected it to look like or feel like at all. But I think there is always some clarity on the other side if you let yourself move through it. And it's so like messy
Yeah.
and ugly, you know? I mean, for years I was just like weeping every day and I didn't sleep. So that was the other thing is I had insomnia really bad.
So this was during the dark night of the soul. You were weeping and had insomnia.
Yes.
So
I didn't sleep for 2 years.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So, you know what?
Like, what does that look like?
Like psychotic.
And like, so like at night, everyone else goes to bed, husband goes to bed, kids go to bed, and you're just up.
Yeah.
Were you laying in bed awake?
Yeah.
Wow.
I lay there and with my eyes closed, and I just can't dip all the way down into the like depth of sleep. I just kind of like linger. It feels like I'm kind of walking down the steps into a pool, and I just can't like fully push off and go underwater. I'm just standing at that bottom step, and my brain would not turn off. You know, I think it was a combination of just having my identity completely ripped away from me, and everything that I had once kind of, you know, attached myself to professionally, personally, like everything crumbled, and it was like I was just kind of this empty space for a while before I could begin to kind of develop a new version of myself, you know, which doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
You know, and it doesn't happen if you're not sleeping.
No. Yeah, not sleeping does not make that any kind of easier. Whew.
Yeah, I mean, it probably could have been shorter. I think if I hadn't, you know, kind of like stigmatized prescription medication, in my background as an Ayurvedic practitioner, you know, often I've helped people get off of their prescription medications. And I think someone who has really, you know, oriented myself to the natural way is the best way. I was really intent upon, you know, fixing it myself. And so I'm like, I can just, you know, use my essential oils or like meditate my way out of this. And that's when I started to learn about somatic experiencing, and then ultimately, you know, cried to a doctor and was like, I need to try some medication, you know. And that was also, you know, a whole ordeal because the, you know, common sleep medications didn't work for me. I would take 2-3 Ambien and still be awake.
Wow.
And then the messages I told myself about, like, if you can't even sleep, then like what a piece of shit, you know what I mean? Like I can't even fucking sleep. Like how can I be of value anywhere? How can I do anything if I can't even fucking sleep, you know? So that was really, really hard to unwind. But ultimately I found something that worked for me. It was, what's the Ween song? Zoloft.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Great stuff.
It works, y'all.
It felt like microdosing ecstasy, and also I lost weight. And I'm like, why isn't everyone on this? Does everyone know about this?
Hello, have you heard of Zoloft? I think you should look into Zoloft.
I think I had some type of an abnormal reaction with the weight loss.
Interesting.
But that was a reason why I had to get off of it soon, was because I was like a skeleton of myself and I couldn't eat enough. And so, which was also this weird experience of people being like, you look so good. You know?
I know, right? Like, isn't that, you're like, I'm not okay.
I'm like ill. Yeah, but I felt great, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I was on that for about like 8 or 10 months, and that really just helped to put me to sleep. And I start to, you know, fill up the well of my sleep deficit again so that I could just like cognitively function on a daily basis and start to make decisions that could benefit me instead of, you know, just kind of operating from a really, you know, primal, wounded place that, you know, I mean, I give thanks to my husband who like stuck it out with me during that time. But it was very much like, I mean, it felt like, you know, this long like ayahuasca trip or something of just like rip away everything that you thought you were and rebuild. Wow. You know?
Was there, I have questions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just like, wait, I mean, you know, when I've gone through versions of that differently, I was alone at home.
Yeah.
So it was just me.
Yeah.
And for a while, my dog, who passed away. But so I didn't really have anyone else in my space to care for or interact with even. But you have 2 small children during this time, a husband.
Yeah.
you're in a home to get all into home together.
Nowhere to go.
With nowhere to go. No yet community of your own, really.
No, correct. Yeah.
Wow. So how did you work through that in real time? Like looking back, like in real time, what was the way that you, like what was the turning point for you? I mean, part of it sounds like the Zoloft or the willingness to get medication.
Yeah. That was definitely a turning point. I mean, the year, before that, and kind of leading up to that, I think I was, like I said, I was kind of unpacking my childhood for the first time and really realizing I just didn't get an education around how to like flow through my emotions. Like, first of all, just like allow myself to have them, like feel anger, for example. I was very much, something I was told constantly in my childhood was like, as long as you're happy, I'm happy.
Oh yeah. Right? It's a death knell.
It's
Actually,
a fucking death
I
knell.
think that's the most destructive thing we can tell anyone is to not be angry.
So it's codependent, first of all, because it's like, now my mood completely, your mood depends upon my mood. And if I'm not happy, then like all hell's gonna break loose. So I always had to present happy, everything's fine. And so I never learned how to like meet my anger, meet my disappointment in any way. I just kind of shoved it down. So when I was like, really realizing that and noticing, it was tough, especially raising a daughter at that time who looks exactly like me.
Wow.
And when she would have tantrums of these big, rageful, tantrums of just whatever it was, it triggered my inner child. And I wasn't able to be there for her as a parent. It's gonna make me cry, but it's like, I wasn't a resourced parent at that time. And I just remember like screaming and crying and just like matching her emotion, because it was like I'm looking at my own face as a child. Like it was just me in a mirror. And I'm just like watching myself express this for the first time. And it was just like, I was just like stricken with like amazement. And so it was really therapeutic for me, but also I don't know if I was able to be like the perfect parent and come in and be like, there, like it's just your emotion. I just didn't know that. I didn't know how to do that at all. I was never taught that, So, with the help of really like a team of therapists, slowly I was able to understand, child development and really piece apart what my childhood was like and, how I can reconcile that and be, a resourced parent, a calm parent, a stable parent for my child. But a lot of times, all I knew to do, because I had so much yoga, was my daughter or both of my kids are, screaming at me. And I would just sit down on the floor and just om. I would just chant like as loud as I could. And my kids would just be screaming in my face and just like, "Rah!" And I'm just like, oh, that's like match them, I'm like, I'm just going to create a vibration here, like of my own doing. And I kind of just had to create my own little energy portal of grounding. And you know what? It worked.
Wow.
Eventually my kids would just like kind of stop and just kind of calm down or sit down. Not always immediately, but that was kind of how I managed it at first, and now that looks like for me is I really try to do that like on an internal level. I don't need to like throw everything on the floor and sit down and start chanting really loudly. I can kind of, resource myself in that way. And it's a daily practice. And now, I really try to make time and make an effort to do that every single day, whatever we're, kind of facing the challenges of life as they unfold. But I find that if I can make the space and time to ground, into my own energy, just acknowledge and just welcome everything that's here, no matter kind of where I'm at and whatever storyline is happening right now. I know that I'm there for myself. I know that I can parent myself, that I can be there for myself now. And that's a tool that I didn't have. That's a knowing that I didn't have at that time.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't have kids, and I had to learn a similar but different thing because I would do that with my friends.
Yeah.
Oh, like a version of,
Yeah.
or mostly I would just be like,
Yeah.
Like grab, fix me, like you fix me, no, fuck off, like whatever.
Yeah.
You name your one or the other. That was my pattern.
Got it.
I will do whatever I need to do for you to give a shit about me.
Yeah.
And then I would, because also growing up, it was like appearances mattered. So
Same.
don't act out.
Same.
Everybody remain calm and look the part the minute you leave this house.
Same.
And I'm like, well, what the bleep? I don't fit any of that. And then I'd call it ticking time bomb. Because I would lose my bonkers pants shit.
Yep.
Like out of nowhere. I would just, like I would go take everything, like just fling it off the bookshelf, like just in a rage, and then plop into it. And I would be like, ah, finally.
Yeah, it feels good.
Felt really
Somatic
good.
release.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that was an intuitive something. But I'm like, not a way to live. And I kept doing versions of that as I got older because that's all I knew how to do. Like stuff, explode.
Yeah.
Stuff, explode.
I think so many of us are walking around doing that, and it's, no fault of our own. It's like, if we're not taught that as a culture, as a society, then how do we know? We're just like living in our childhood, conditioning. And, I can't blame my parents for not really knowing. I mean, I think they still exist in that way. They have a really hard time just handling any level of strong emotion, whether that's happy or sad. I think they just kind of like turn away from it. They don't share certain pieces of information with me because they're afraid of how I might react. And I've been like the very emotive one in my family.
Same.
And it's like, oh, don't upset Stephanie. Like she's gonna explode or something. And it's like, I feel like I'm really expressing for my whole family. It was so stoic. I remember sitting at the dinner table with my parents and, they'd have like an emotional conversation and I could see, one of them like starting to well up with tears and they'd say, excuse me. And they'd get up from the table and go to the bathroom and cry it out or do whatever they needed to do and then come back to the table silent and sit down and finish their dinner. And that was how things were handled in my house. No one ever talked about it. No one ever said your feelings are okay to have, like it's okay to feel this way, it's okay to feel angry. No one ever said anything like that. And so I feel like, when I first had kids, it was like the blind leading the blind. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like every time my kid cries, like it triggers me and I also cry, and then I panic. And then my child is looking to me for comfort and some stability of like, is it okay to have these emotions? And I'm like, no, it's not okay to have these emotions. Like, look, it's making me freak out too,
Right.
And then finally, understanding that it's like, there is a stability within us. You may have not even met that stability at all in your lifetime, but through practice and through effort, you can find it and you can remember it. It's there. It's maybe not right under the surface. It's maybe deep down. And like, sitting in your sunroom for 3 months, you eventually, met it in some way. And it's like, there is a sense of stability underneath everything. And if we can tap into that, it's a wellspring of, I mean, I hesitate to say the word stability again, but that's just what's coming.
Yeah.
It's like this endless well of reassurance.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Endless well of reassurance. Because I think, I relate so much to, I'm the one in the family that's the emoter.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, what's she gonna do? She's gonna lose her shit?
Yeah.
One way or the other. I'm like, Jesus, why are everybody looking at me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe I'm not the weirdo.
Maybe you're having a perfectly normal
maybe
reaction.
This is just what you're supposed
to. What's going on?
Yeah, like there's a, hello, why am
Totally.
So for a long time I would call myself crazy or weird, and I'm like, I'm not crazy or weird. I'm neither of those things, and I've embraced that. But my version of that was I was with my parents when the Berlin Wall came down. We were in Switzerland in a hotel room, and we watched it on TV. Okay, like November, whatever, 9th, 1989.
Yeah.
And I was 16. And I watched them. They were both sitting like anyway. They were not sitting together. They were sitting separately, both having their moment. I never had seen my mom cry like that. She cried. My dad kind of cried. He was the emotional one. And then the next thing I know, they both like wash their face off and go, okay, let's go to dinner. I'm like, and I was standing there watching the Berlin Wall come down on the TV over here, and it was like a split screen. Berlin Wall coming down over here. My parents sitting on the left, parents sitting on the bed on the right. I'm like going back and forth, like, wow. Does anybody seeing any of what's happening right now?
Are we going to acknowledge?
Are we going to talk about? Yeah. That's a major thing. That's the thing y'all never thought was going to happen, and y'all and then like, let's go to dinner. And I was like, yeah, okay, I guess that's.
Who wants tacos?
Yeah. Okay.
Tacos in Switzerland.
Right, but the equivalent. Schnitzel, I don't know, yeah. A schnitzel. Let's go have a schnitzel of some sort, or a fondue.
Yum.
Oh, so good. But yeah, so yeah. What was the moment in those 2 years of not sleeping that, like, was there like a moment where you're like, I'm making a decision right now because blankety blank? Like, yeah,
there was actually. I came downstairs one day after my attempt to sleep, and because I very much like everything that because I ordered all these books, and I'm just going to figure it out with my, intellectual mind. I'm going to read my way into sleep, and right. I'm just going to figure this out. So everything that I was reading was like, just, do as you would normally do. Like, go to bed and put your things on and, give yourself a little massage or whatever it was, take your melatonin, whatever the hell I was doing at the time. And so I would just, wake up in the morning and just get up and out of bed, but still, try to be in bed and in the position of sleeping, even though I wasn't. So I come downstairs one morning and I said, like, very matter of fact, and I remember coming to this conclusion and being like, yeah, I could see why someone wouldn't want to continue their life like this. And I was like, I can see how someone else, and it was kind of out of body. I was like, I can see how someone else wouldn't want to continue living the way that I'm currently living. Like, I could see how someone would want to die. And Roland's like, all right, we're going to go ahead and give the doctor a call today. That's the point that I was at. Like, dipping a toe in psychosis, maybe ankle deep, you know? And just kind of normalizing that. So, yeah, it was extremely disorienting, that whole period of time. I just didn't have anything really to anchor down into. And funny enough, I had received a wedding gift from a girlfriend of mine who had kind of gone on this, like, international sojourn for a couple of years, one of those friends who, like, she started with a big backpack and ended up with just like a knife. And
oh my God, I love this.
She was like,
okay, y'all, if I end up with just my Swiss Army knife, please call for help.
She totally ended up like dating a pirate somewhere and
I love this.
In New Zealand or something.
This is brilliant.
So she came back and she was like, for your wedding gift, I'd love to give you like a yoga session for the morning. And I was like, oh my God, I'd love that, So she came and was like, I'll do a yoga nidra session. And I heard the word yoga, but I had never heard the second word nidra. And I was like, yeah, whatever, yoga, like, great. I know yoga. I'd been practicing for a long time at that point. And she had me lay down in Shavasana and proceeded to, kind of guide me through this meditative journey. And it was so incredibly profound. At one point I was like, where is my body? Like, where have I gone? I feel like I'm levitating. I was so incredibly relaxed. And that was the morning of my wedding. And it was like such a beautiful way. It was such an unexpected way. I really thought I was going to be doing like a fitness. I came in my little like yoga outfit or whatever, and she was like, just lay down and close your eyes.
We're not doing that.
We're not doing that.
That's not happening.
Different kind of yoga. And so it was kind of this one-time thing, and then later during COVID, I kind of had that memory resurface, and I thought, oh, let me like explore that again. What was that, you know? And so I connected back with her, and at this time she was actually offering a yoga teacher training in this specific type of meditation, yoga nidra. And so I took it, and it was kind of like a 40-hour introductory experience. And what that practice led me to was resting in a way that even if I couldn't fall asleep completely at night, I could at least rest and get some physiological benefits of rest, while maybe not dipping all the way down into sleep. And so it helped me initially. Listening to those meditations, that was one of the first times I could fall asleep, was listening to those recordings. And it really, really nurtured me. That practice really, first of all, you have to unpack everything you understand to be about rest. And what I had really discovered was that I really hadn't given myself permission to rest at all. I, didn't grow up with a lot of money. We were, middle class, whatever, but I didn't finish college. And so I had created this story that I just needed to work my ass off in some vocation for the rest of my life. And I didn't deserve to rest because I had dropped out of college and I had kind of fucked off and partied for a while, that now I really needed to just like get, deep into my work so that I could build up some, like wealth and value for myself. And when I got married, I married someone who, it was financially stable and could offer me some space and time to just be a mom and not work. But because that belief was so deeply, deeply ingrained within me, I couldn't rest. I could not let myself rest. And there was a part of me that was telling myself that even though you're not bringing an income into this household, then you still need to like earn your wealth, earn your value here.
Earn your keep.
Earn your keep. Mm-hmm. So I like turned myself into like the house wench, and I was like, well, I'll learn how to make everything from scratch. I'll learn how to make these like, bon appetit meals every day. And I'll, have all the organic everything. And I'll do all the research about, the nutritional needs for, every phase of the childhood. And it was just like I kept busied myself with all of these tasks and all of these jobs that I had created for myself within my house, within my household. And it's so easy to do, And in all of that, I hadn't given myself permission to just like rest and to really value myself for just who I am and not for what I do.
Oh,
and
yes.
That distinction was massive, to just accept myself as the, kind of worthless piece of shit that I was telling myself that I was. Can I find value just in existing, just in being, without being so-and-so's wife or mother or daughter or someone's boss or this person that's achieved this or has this degree or whatever? It's like, could I just be okay with just me? Just the essence of me. And that was an invitation to really accept myself on a level that I had never known before.
Yeah, there's so much here for me, and that, yes. I also, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I didn't even want to cut you off. I was like, I could just, but I'm like, I'm crying now, and
yeah.
In 2021, I had that moment of, I just want to be gone.
Yeah.
I just want to be gone, as in gone.
Yeah, I felt that too.
I just don't want to do this anymore. I don't know how to do this. It's really because I don't know how to live. Right. It's not that I don't want to live. I just don't know how to live again. And I thought I'd gotten past that many moons ago. Apparently not.
Yeah, and here I was in this state of like, fuck, I've finally like married the man of my dreams who's like financially providing for me. We're like moving to this idyllic situation where we get to remodel a house and make it our own. I have 2 beautiful, healthy, perfect children. I have everything that I've ever fucking wanted. So why do I want to die?
Right. Right.
None of this makes sense.
Right. And that feeling of like, do I have value by just simply existing and being?
All of society tells us no.
Right.
That your only value is dependent on what you can produce.
Right.
Or what you can
show
consume.
and what you can show that you've produced so that you can consume. Right.
Yeah. And it's like, I finally could see through all of that bullshit and was like, no, I claim myself. I claim my value. I don't have to do anything to be of value. Like, I am of value just for existing. I am a strand of the threads, of the fabric of the universe. And just by existing, I am God, who's trying to understand herself through our expression of our human existence. I really believe that. And so that practice of Yoga Nidra really, really opened up a part of me that had never been opened up before. And so I'm a lifelong devotional, practitioner of this practice, and I teach from the depths of my practice. That isn't to say that, I put it on a pedestal and it's this, it's a practice, and I understand that. And, learning that, however long that was, 5 years ago, my relationship with that practice has definitely shifted a lot. I don't live in a deep well of sleep deficit anymore. My sleep is really regulated now. But just like we were talking about, it's like I certainly have students that come to my classes who express, they're going through these versions, and I really like to talk about my experience, not necessarily like explicitly what I went through, but just, the lessons that I discovered of, you don't need to earn rest. There's nothing that you need to do to earn it. But when I lay down to rest, it's like, well, have you finished X, Y, and Z on your list today? There's that one thing that you've been working on for a long time or procrastinating or putting off. You should really go be doing that. So it's like, even when I had the physical space to lay down and rest, and like the schedule's open, my kids are out of the house, like whatever that looks like, if I still can't give myself that permission to let go and actually like enjoy the spacious rest of just fucking being, then it's kind of wasted, And I found for me, it all begins with giving myself permission. And that took a lot of time to develop that, it's still a work in progress, really. Every day is kind of different, but I think from childhood we're conditioned to, what do you want to do?
Oh God, you're so right.
It's like, what do you want to do when you're older? And it's like, oh well, no one. The questions that we are asked as children that kind of shape what we think our adult life is going to be is so centered around what we do,
right?
Not who we are.
Yeah, it's funny because there's someone in my life. This is the only person around whom I can nap.
That's a special person.
Yeah. And I'm like, note to self.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to keep that person in your orbit.
Yo,
for sure.
Can I stay here forever? Yeah. Because I'm like, I can spend time there on the, just because I'm clearly a doer, go.
Sure.
Boom, 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 boom. And I've learned to take break. But I'm learning, I think we were talking about this before. This trip is teaching me all about my growth edge of like, in the movement, slowing down and still resting. So like last night I took the night off and went to Zany's and had comedy night. And then was like, yeah, I'm not doing anything tonight. I'm just gonna come home and go to bed at 10 o'clock. Hey. And I was like, whoop, whoop, success. I don't have to do another thing to like, what am I, for what? Right. Who cares? Nobody cares.
Right.
But yeah, around this person, most of the time it's just sitting, chilling, resting, and Hella takes naps.
What a beautiful
It's just shocking.
person to be around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can remember like back, I don't know about you, but like in past relationships, I remember, sleeping in someone else's bed and like not really sleeping or just like kind of pretending to be asleep or like not really feeling fully comfortable.
Yeah.
Which we can dive into all that somatic stuff. It's like.
Yeah. Well, for me, it comes down to like, do I feel safe? And I've had to learn to feel safe within myself.
Right.
First, right, to give myself that safety and I got you, like the hug of like, I got you, Hella, like I got you, little Hella, I got you, teenage Hella, who wants to kick the door down and burn the house down, build it back up and burn it back down again. I got both of you, right, and we can chill, and then to have that combined with another person's energy of like, and I can now nap, get out.
Massive.
That's crazy pants.
Yeah, my husband is definitely. I mean, when we're apart, even though, of course, like a night, by yourself in a bed is one thing, but, when he's not there, like I physically feel his absence. He snores. He's 6'5". He's like a giant mountain of a man. But there's something so comforting about his breathing pattern, about his smell, about like everything about him next to me that it's hard to sleep without him, at least from my perspective in my marriage and this phase of our family, that like I very much look forward to the time that we spend together in bed. Because often, there's so much doing in this phase of our lives with, taking the kids everywhere and working and making all the lunches and all the meals and everything, that when we do finally get into bed, it's kind of this like physiological like sigh, at the end of the day where we're both just like, here we are. And like, metaphorically, we're together, as a unit. And like, that's how we kind of like end every day. And that's how we begin every day, is like, we touch each other in bed. It's like we begin connected, we end connected. And I think that's a really beautiful part of this phase of our marriage. And who knows what could happen later. I mean, he could need a CPAP machine at some point, and I'll be like, to the guest room with you.
And off to the guest room with you, this noise machine, I can't do it.
But for now, I sleep with earplugs, and I'm sleeping great. And I'm just wake up in the morning counting my blessings, because that hasn't always been the case for me,
Right. I also heard in there that this very dark moment had a gift in it, in terms of it gave you this practice, this yoga nidra practice in a whole new way, that you had this like memory came back. I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That it's sort of like, wait, what about that? There was something about that thing.
Yeah, I remember, actually, it's funny now that I kind of revisit that moment where that memory of my wedding day kind of surfaced, as I was, intellectually telling myself, well, you should just do some yoga to like relax,
Right.
And I remember laying on the floor in my bedroom upstairs, and in one of these times where like, my husband's got both kids or one of them's napping, and here I am with this time to myself to go, be productive, but also relax at the same time. And I found myself just laying on the floor and being like, I don't feel like doing anything. Like, I don't feel like I have the strength, the wherewithal, the capacity to even think of a pose to do for myself. And I had, just finished a yoga teacher training, and then I was laying there and was like, oh, wait, like Shavasana is a pose. Lying on your back very much is a pose. And, the more I know about yoga, the more it's really considered maybe the most advanced pose, because you are just laying there. There's nothing to do except be alone with your fucking thoughts. And then all the layers of that, and understanding, through this yogic lens, that your thoughts are just one layer of your awareness. There's the, physical body, there's the breath body, there's the thought body, and then there's this wisdom body that's more like where the intuition lives. And then underneath that, the most beautiful part of that, kind of whole map of the koshas is the Anandamaya kosha, which is the joy body. I think of it sometimes as like Russian nesting dolls, right?
Okay,
like,
yeah.
First of all, we have the what we call the Annamaya kosha, which is the physical meat suit, right?
Right.
And so much of us just reside there, right? I think it speaks to like society just recognizing each other on this very physical level and just like categorizing everyone in this way that's
Right, and not looking past
that's so
the outer layer.
short-sighted. Yeah. Then the second layer is the pranamaya kosha, which is our energetic body. And so the breath is kind of the bridge between those two, right? It's something like physical that we can really, kind of will with our effort to kind of shape the breath in some way. And we also know the breath, really has this, whole body physiological kind of effect on the body where we can really kind of shift our nervous system, which affects our hormones, which affects our thoughts, which affects our feelings and all of that. So the breath is really this beautiful bridge between those two and lives inside that layer of the body. And then underneath that is the Manomaya kosha, which is the mind body. And that's really where all of our thoughts, all of our mental chatter and activity happens. And I don't know about you, but that's where I probably spend the majority of my time.
Yeah, this is where I escape to.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to feel this. Escape.
Yeah, exactly.
Rush into the head.
And we can hang out in that intellectual realm for and it's not a horrible place to be necessarily. I mean, if you identify as an overthinker, like we know that. And also, I think it's a place where a lot of us who teach something like just kind of pull from is like, oh, I've read this in a book, and so now I'm going to analyze it and then turn it into something teachable that I can teach someone else without fully bringing it all the way down into the body and really living with what it feels like, and then like scooping your experience from that space and then teaching that, I found becomes so much more impactful, other than just like, oh, I read, I spent 4 years in this course and now I'm just gonna like make my own book and spit it back out at you. And that's fine. So many people do that. But there's a deeper way to pull in information and really have it live inside your body.
Yeah, I call that, what if there's another way?
Beautiful. Yeah.
That's like my new motto for many things. But I'm like, oh, just because it's done like this, doesn't mean it have to be done like that.
No.
What if there's another way?
Yeah. I think we're living in the age of that.
Yeah. What if there's another way?
Totally.
Like
we're watching everything crumble.
Yeah, like
all these institutions and things crumble around us. It's like we are the vision makers, the vision keepers of this era, I think,
Yeah, I think there's like I agree. I mean, this could be a whole other conversation
right?
we'll have sometime, because I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
But that feeling of like, it's happening.
Yeah.
Where there's collectively there's a movement, and I don't mean like a movement with a name on it, but like just literally physically people moving into a direction of what if there's another way.
Yeah. I think it's really exciting. It's also really scary.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah. Being a parent in this era is like a whole other fucking Jedi level of nervous system regulation that needs to happen.
No, I bet. But I like this, like, teaching from a place of taking the information, integrating it, really, processing it through, having a felt experience of it in my own self, in my own life, or some form of that, and then passing it on from that place.
Yeah. Yeah, so underneath that intellectual level is the Vijnanamaya kosha, which is what they call the wisdom body. And that's like the place where it's not like up here, it's like And like that place is deeper than just the intellectual knowledge, right? It's like, I think that's really where our intuition lives, and that's where like wisdom, I think, is created once you can pull that intellectual knowledge down deeper into that level and really know it to be true because you've lived an experience where you now know, like, that's wisdom. It's not just knowledge.
Right.
That becomes like lived motherfucking wisdom.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then underneath that layer is the joy body, the Anandamaya Kosha. We have a whole layer of our body that's just there to experience joy.
Okay.
Period.
Wow.
It's so unfathomable for us to, I think for me at least, like, be like, wait, what? There's like a whole layer of me to experience that just like is just there to experience joy. But something that parenthood has taught me is that when you widen the spectrum of feeling, of any emotion, right? Like say something very, very sad happens in your life, you lose a loved one or something. The grief that you feel, the depth of that grief that's so incredibly lower than you've ever been before, wherever that is for you, you have also stretched your capacity to feel even higher levels of joy than you've ever felt before, because it's a duality. It's a stretched, like,
yes.
stretchy spectrum. And so there's a part of this practice in Yoga Nidra where we do explore the opposites. What does it feel like to feel, sadness, for example? And you can really, like, I don't always go there because it's not trauma informed necessarily.
Right,
but
right.
I can baby step in there. When I do one-on-one work, we can really go there.
Right. Right. I appreciate that care.
Yeah,
because
very trauma informed. I'm
Yeah.
never going to be like, so let's all feel grief, everyone. Like 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, but there's a lot of people who are not mindful of themselves not being trauma informed,
Yeah,
or the
yes.
context of what they're doing not being trauma
All this-
informed. Letting loose a bunch of stuff and not reintegrating it or grounding it, and then hey, good luck,
just
everybody.
sending people out there in the
Bye.
world, yeah.
I'm like, no.
Good luck making good choices.
Yeah. See you next week.
Totally.
In class. Yeah.
Very irresponsible. Yeah, very responsible. So yeah, I really try to
Yes.
err on the side of caution there in my
Yes.
group classes. One-on-one,
Right.
we can get a little bit more intimate or really intimate.
Sure.
But has been such a beautiful practice of just experiencing opposites, right? So if you really want to explore grief, maybe you've never really even let yourself sit with what does grief feel like. And so maybe you like conjure up a story, like, oh, my grandmother died and I'm so sad about that. And you really let it sink into your body in a physical way. That now remove the story and just stay with the physical sensations. And I really try to cruise around your inner landscape. Like, what are you feeling? A little vibration here, a little temperature shift here. Is it a color? Is it a texture? Like, really, really get familiar with what that looks like, what that feels like. Now we're going to turn around and start to walk in the opposite direction. What is the opposite emotion from this? So wherever you're at, whether that's deep down in the throes of grief, can you turn around? Now, joy is way, 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 way over there. And like, you may not even be able to see it on the horizon when you're in the depths of that grief. But if you can just turn around and start walking in the opposite direction towards okayness, towards neutrality, like, now you start to stretch your capacity, and just it grows and grows and grows. And the more you can practice, and then we go back and forth and back and forth, and then we hold both at the same time in the body.
Wow.
And I think that's when neuroplasticity can really begin to, like, whoa, what is happening is, like, I'm holding this emotion and really honoring it for everything that it's telling me. And at the same time, I can also hold this other truth that there's a possibility that there is a whole other experience to be had in this life, just like we were talking about earlier. It's like, I think through the depths of any challenge that we go through, on the other side, there is a mirrored reflection of the spectrum of experience. If you went through the depths of hell, to get to the other side, well, you're going to experience really high levels of beauty and joy only because you've stretched your capacity on that side.
Right.
Right. And
right.
I think that's what parenthood really feels like a lot of the time, is like the lows are so much lower. You're so deeply invested in this other life, in their well-being, in the health of their everything, in their future. And so when the celebrations come, it's like, it's fucking beautiful. I mean, my husband and I will both cry, almost on a daily basis, of just like how incredibly lucky we are to witness just these, like your kid learning to ride their bike for the first time, or like figuring out, something, or coming up with their own, whatever it is. It's like, it's just so incredibly beautiful and stunning to witness. But I don't know that I would value it in the same way had we not been through, the challenges.
Right. Yeah, it's not coincidental to me at all. This is picking up from my conversation yesterday in a most beautiful way, all of this. I'm like, okay, this is why I'm like, all right, Hella, relax. You can actually relax, because watch it just, if you're paying it, for me, it's a version of that, is growing my capacity to pay attention and notice these synchronicity and these like, oh, like I'm getting all these messages received by having these, you don't know the woman I met yesterday at all. And yet I'm like, mind blown, because I'm like, we're talking, there's like it's a continuation. This conversation I had yesterday started, and then we're having a version of a continuation of that conversation. So that just popped in the ADD brain. I was like, what is happening? Because what we were talking about yesterday is like, okay, am I enduring pain that's optional, like unnecessarily enduring pain? Or am I allowing the pain, whether it's a grief or whatever, the pain, she's a runner, so whether it's even literally a physical pain, right? Sometimes like being uncomfortable in that pain and going through the pain is actually part of the growing my capacity and getting to the other side, experiencing more of what's on the opposite end. So it's like navigating, like paying attention, like, am I just enduring something that's actually harming me? That's what it was. Or am I allowing this difficulty to grow, to help me grow?
Right.
And that's what I'm hearing in this in a similar but different way. And I'm like, wow, yes, because to your point, it's growing my capacity for the good things.
Yeah,
exactly. And the ability to really embody it and appreciate it.
Right. It's like we can't evolve from our comfort zone, right? It's like we're not going to grow and change if we just stay in this small little scope of reality, of existence,
Do you feel that that those grief moments or those pain moments are the things that sort of drill a hole, if you will, down into the joy body, like because it's so far down there, quote unquote?
That's a really interesting like visual. Yeah, I mean, it almost feels like to me like unlocking something. It's like kind of unlocking a door that maybe leads down the hallway to the joy body a little bit more, that I've like created at whatever point in my life. Yeah, kind of like a crack where the light comes in,
Oh, I love that.
I can't take credit for that. That's like some Japanese proverb or
something
like that.
Well, I still love it.
Thanks. I don't know who said it. I can't credit them. Sorry. Yeah, it's like, it sounds like you were raised in a similar kind of like environment that I was, but it was like very much about presentation.
Yes.
You always, like, my appearance was the most important thing about me, which is why I ended up in the beauty industry, because my mom was also in the beauty industry, and I got so deep into that career. That's a career that I left.
Right.
And I realized, like, what the fuck?
Right.
I've been trying to please my mom this whole time, you know? And trying to make it my own little spin on it or whatever, but I was like, this is just... I've created a career of my childhood wounding.
Wow, yeah, right? Like, whoa.
And I was like, why am I just existing? Like, this isn't me. And I was like, an esthetician. But what I grasped from those experiences, doing thousands of treatments in treatment rooms on people, was the way that once they relaxed and began to open up, the things that they would say, you know, and the experience that they would have just from me giving them permission to relax in that context, that was the most valuable thing that happened in that exchange. Was like, I'm giving you permission to come into this cozy place. I've got the music, I've got the incense. I'm going to rub your face with all these things and make you look pretty. Like what I was doing to their skin was like the least important thing that I realized that was really happening. And so that's what that's the career that I left behind, was like, I'm certainly like educated in that realm, and I still do consulting for that, and it's all fine.
I have so much more to talk about off the ones I turn this. Friend for life, friend. We've circulated around each other on numerous occasions.
I know.
And I'm like, I didn't know any of that because Hella was, whatever. But I'm like, I didn't know any of this. I'm like, okay, check.
Yeah.
More chats.
Well, and I think every time we've hung out, it's been in some kind of like group setting.
And I get weird in group settings. Not weird, I just, my introverted part gets uncomfortable and nervous, and then I either get over talky and over sharey or quiet.
Totally relate to that.
So it's like it's like it's a crapshoot which one we're gonna get at any given moment.
The best in those situations is if I find one other person that's like you, and we can actually like have like an intimate conversation, and I walk away feeling like, wasn't that refreshing? Like I went into a group environment, I had a really incredible conversation with someone, but usually it's like surface level chit chat. I was just at a party this weekend, and I just literally sat outside and just pet the dogs the whole time. I was like, I don't want to talk to anyone.
I get it. I get that. And I'm like, okay, we don't know which one's going to show up, but and I'm like, and I'm like, good luck, y'all. You're on your own. I can't help you with this because I can't always control which one shows up.
Yeah. You just have to trust.
Yeah. This is the whole, what if there's another way vibes.
What if there's another way?
So I love what we covered, the sleep situation, like all of that whole story and your journey with that, I think is incredible. And I'm really grateful to you and the parenting in the middle of all. I mean, so thank you.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that. I'm very grateful. It helped me. But I'm just curious, like, you're going through something really difficult. Where do you start? Like,
I think what comes to me now in this moment is a great place to begin is with forgiveness. And when I say that, I really mean forgiveness for yourself. Because I know for myself, I've got all these stories I could tell you about how I was a bad kid or reckless or irresponsible, or all the different stories that we have. I think everyone has some version of that, of how we've fucked up in our life, how we fucked up something. And you have to forgive yourself, because if you can't forgive anyone else.
Right.
And I really believe that the world can change if we begin to show ourselves the love, the forgiveness that we deserve, that we want the rest of the world to give us. We have to begin with ourselves, because if you can't develop that self-forgiveness, if you can't look at all the, fucked up parts that you've labeled for yourself and say, wow, I see at that time that you were really trying your best, and with everything that you knew and everything that you'd been through at that time, you made this choice, and I forgive you for doing that. You were just doing what you thought would be fun, what you thought would be easy, what you thought would be best, whatever it was, and I completely understand why you made that decision, and I completely forgive you for what you did. And like going through every moment, every place in your life, and just saying, I forgive you for that. I forgive you for that. I forgive you for that. You're still whole. You're still fine. You can still turn the ship around and set sail for a completely new destination that you can't even fucking fathom or dream of. You can still turn it around, but it has to begin with forgiveness for yourself. And I think once you begin to forgive those parts of yourself that you feel have failed you in some way, it's so much easier to look at the person next to you, whether that's your partner or your child or a stranger, and say, I can recognize that there's probably pieces inside of you too that you don't feel awesome about, and I forgive you. You know? I don't think that we do that to each other. That's certainly like where we're at now, you know? As a society, is we're just pointing the finger at each other and just saying like, you're a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit. But really, it's what we're saying about ourselves, because we can't look in the mirror and just say, I forgive you. It's okay. No matter what you did, it's okay, you know? And I love you and I forgive you, and we're gonna move on from this together. And once we can do that for ourselves, we can turn to the other person and be a well of resources to them and say, I believe in you, I forgive you too, and you can do that for yourself. But it's such a personal, deep journey that I don't know if everyone can afford themselves the time and the space, you know, to do that. We tell ourselves that we have to keep on going, and whatever our socioeconomic status is, that we have to keep working, and it's like it just keeps us in this phase of doing, and we don't get to have those open, you know, moments and invitations to reflect deeply. But I think it's so necessary. I think, you know, there's so much that could be said, that we could fix society.
Right.
You know, more vacation time, just less work hours in general, more, you know, emphasis on family and, you know, health and all of that. But I know that's really what I come back to. That's kind of what I find down at the very bottom of the thread, is like, you've got to forgive yourself.
Wow. What a perfect place to end. Oh my God.
Great.
I mean, I'm just like, wow. I just want to like look at the fan
spinning. And the cozy chair, yeah.
And the cozy chair, and like ponder and ruminate on forgiveness, because it's the key to freedom.
I think it really is. We hold on to so much, you know, but you're right. It's like the keys of kind of releasing it.
Yeah, like I release myself and I release you.
Yeah, it's like the Buddha talks about, like, you know, picking up a hot coal to throw at someone. And it's like, well, it's going to burn your fucking hand.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do that, but I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
You might hurt yourself.
Yeah, it's like if you could just let it go and, like, ask yourself, why are you even picking it up to throw it in the first place?
Right.
You know?
Well, thank you so much for this.
Yeah,
truly.
thank you.
I mean, I feel like it's been a real honor, real privilege. Like I'm speechless.
Oh.
Really. I'm so moved. I feel the depth in you. Not that you need me to tell you that, but I can feel a connectedness to that depth, to that joy body that you have.
Yeah.
It's very inspiring to me.
Thanks for saying
So thank you for sharing with me, because I'm like, I know I can feel I'm leaving here a different woman than the one that walked in here today.
Wow.
So
well, yeah, thank you for coming in and just, you know, creating a space to have conversations like this. I think that they need to happen more often. You know, I think they really allow us that place to reflect and just see the humanness in each other, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of just labeling, you know?
Yes. Well,
So thank you. Yeah, the work that you're doing is really cool, really important.
Thank you.
Yeah. Totally.
This is where I get squeaky, because I'm like, I can't receive that. I'm paying attention
It's a
now.
practice too, for
where I
sure.
do the squeak. I'm like, that's a high-pitched Hella escape mode. So I'm just observing it. But thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Cool.
awesome. Okay.
Let's unmic ourselves now.
That's right. Woo woo. Thank you again for listening to The Stories That Sparkle, a space I created for women to share in their own voices the intricacies of their stories, Another huge, big, gigando thank you to Stephanie. I mean, it really was such a pleasure to get to know her in this whole new, deeper kind of way. I came in there all spun up and woo. And that conversation with her really helped me dial down and relax into myself. Truly, I did leave her house a changed woman. So I'm really grateful to her. And like I said, this is the second conversation I had on the Discoball Tour and recorded, so check out those episodes. And you don't have to listen to them in order, but it certainly will help because they build on each other. If you want to follow along what was going on for me around recording all these episodes as I drove across the country, go check out the docuseries. Episodes come out in conjunction with the podcast episodes and sort of tell the other story, the other part of the story that's going on for me. Lots of stuff, lots of fun things going on. So anyway, if you are enjoying the stories that sparkle, please do me one small favor. Pass it on to 2 friends, just 2, and encourage them to listen and subscribe and follow and download and all the things. And most importantly, if you have a story you want to share or a topic you would like me to cover in an episode of the podcast, please drop me a line, Hella Rader at substack.com, because together we bring light into dark